So after I've origined out my part, I'm gonna approach my indicator to my hole. And so I'm gonna roll kind of in the 1,000ths increment. I don't want to be super fast here on my position. I don't want to crash my indicator. Remember, this inter-rapid indicator, 1/10 indicator, is, like $550. So we're not gonna break it. We're gonna be careful, gentle. We're gonna approach in our X and Y. I just brought that down in the Z here. You can see that the indicator is moving a little bit there. We're just gonna find a good spot. We are on a drilled hole, so that's not absolutely accurate. So it's kind of, this will show you the fundamentals that we use to indicate in a hole. It's just not gonna be all that great. Just because it is a, drilled hole. So it's not that great of a surface. So I'm close on my Y there, or I'm touching on my Y. I'm actually gonna move it back. If you notice, so that went really fast. I'm in thousandths increments. So you can see that went real fast. So when I'm in this position here with the 10th indicator, I'm going to move in my 10th increments. So I'm just gonna back the indicator away from the wall a little bit because my needle, I can see, is not touching in my X, either on my left or on my right. So I don't want it touching in my Y either. That means my Y position's off. I am, however, going to work with my X first. I usually start in the X position. Now you can start in a Y position, that's fine. The problem with the Y position is that when I flip the indicator all the way around, I can't see it. So 3 points make a circle. If I can get this point correct, then I'll come back and hit the Y point. And then this one I'll just double check with my mirror. I can put a mirror here and then I can see my indicator. Right now I cannot do that. So I will work in my X, and then usually what I do is I will set one side as my 0 and I will adjust the other side to my 0. So right now somehow I ended up with my X real close. So if you look at, I kind of set my 0 here. So my 0 is set. I can come across. My Y is off by, it looks like, what, almost 4 thou, 3.5 thou. If I come to my X on my other side here, it's only off a couple thou. So if I'm balancing my X, all I have to do now is, if I'm off by 2 thou here, I just need to subtract it by 1. So I'm always going to set my 0 here, but I'm going to make my table movement here. So I'm going to subtract that. So I'm going to come in, hit my X. I'm in my 10th increment mode, and I'm just going to bring it down. So, and I'll do that. I'll go past my number and back up to it. CNCs don't have a lot of backlash. Backlash still exists, but after the habit of manual milling of backlash, you kind of end up with that feel of going past your number and coming back to it. So here's 0. I reset my dial. I come across to my X, and it's close to 0. It's a few tenths off. I'm going to, and there's 0. That's your drilled hole. It's not super great, but I'm going to come back and I'm going to hit my Y, because my Y, if I change that, it's going to change the location of the tangent of the X. So my X could be off a little bit. So I want to make my tangent really close. So I'm just going to move my Y to my 0. And then I'll come back and I'll double check my X 0. So, making sure square. It looks, I mean, fairly close, within a couple tenths. We're going to go with it. Y is 0. And now my X on my other side is pretty close to 0. A couple tenths, depending on where you're at. But now we got 0, 0, and 0. So that is the location of our hole. So it makes 3 points. Right now I can say that my location, and I eyeballed the 0. So it's like, 780 in the X and minus 1.484 in the Y. I can double check the backside I've got a mirror that's close. It was over on the workbench. But I can double check that other side here, show you how that works. If I can hold the camera in the mirror. Sorry about that, kind of went crazy. But if I hold the mirror, I'll put it there for now, and rotate it around, I can show you that I can see that, well, it looks like I'm about 1 thou. So I'm about 1 thou off here. Let's just say I'm gonna move my Y. I'm hoping you can see that. I'm gonna move my Y at about 1 thou, or about 1/2 thou. So I'll move my Y about 1/2 thou. So Y, about 1/2 thou there. Bring it closer to 0. Come back across, and it's about 1/2 thou. So I just moved it 5/10. That's fine. We are balancing that drilled hole, so it might not be a perfect circle. It might be a little bit elongated in that direction, but that's okay because we're finding the center of it. So if we're 5/10 on the Y, off a little bit from 5/10 on the X, I mean, we're talking 5/10 on a drilled hole. Not a bad spot to be in. So yeah, that is using the Haas, using your position. So after I went into position and I was able to origin that out, the minute I went back to hand jog, it just pulled up the offsets, because that's typically where you live in. You know, when you're setting your block, you're setting in your either tool offset world or your work offset world. So it kind of automatically goes back to that. So your position doesn't always stay highlighted. If I wanted to origin that out, I can't cursor up and down to origin that out. I have to hit my X to go to origin, or my Y to go to origin. And that's how I can origin those numbers out to keep those a little bit more friendly for you, so you don't have to write down the machine coordinates. But now I really wanted my corner to be 0, not my part, but I was just showing you that function. I hope that video helps.